party down, location mysterious. Wanna rock this con like my man James Tiberius. Jesse and Marina, they're mad clever like the Negus. Gonna guide you through the scenes, beam from London to Las Vegas. Where to go, how to dress, when to sleep, who to see. Celebs not to miss, Sardis Wong and SMG. Star Trek into awesome, build some memories at last. Set the proper course, the Shore Leave Podcast. Boom.
Welcome, everyone, to the 58th episode of Shore Leave, your Star Trek Convention Community Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jesse Okendo, and along with me is my fabulous co-host who never makes a mistake and goes to all the cons, Marina.
Hello, everyone. This is Marina and Profancik. I can't believe it. We're at the end of the year again. So thank you for everyone for listening to us. As you all know, Shore Leave is part of the Tricorder Transmissions Network. If you enjoy what we do here on Shore Leave or any other of the sister shows on Tricorder Transmissions, please consider joining our Patreon. You can go directly to patreon.com/the Tricorder Transmissions or visit our network webpage, which is www.thetricordertransmissions.com, and click on the Patreon link there. Becoming a Patreon always gets you access to unedited early release of our episodes, as well as some bonus material and invitation to join regular Patreon hangouts with the hosts and fellow patrons. So we would like to thank all our patrons and our listeners, and onwards. So here we are. We're going to be talking about one of the conventions that usually round off the year very nicely. It's a traditional Thanksgiving convention, and that is, of course, Starbase Indy in Indianapolis. Jesse, would you like to introduce our guests today?
We have two guests this week, and let's welcome on board our fellow STLV veterans, guests of Tricorder Transmission sister shows, Debbie and Eric. Eric, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Eric Profancik here. You might know me from running the USS Rio and the Queer Trek sites.
And I'm Debbie from California, and you might know me from STLV or from the Golden Gate away team. And I got to be on the first episode of Disco Trek.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Welcome, you guys. Well, this is the first time that you're guesting actually on Shore Leave. So just for the listeners who have never heard you, or the STLV attendees who somehow never met you before, let's talk just a little bit very briefly about you, your fandom. How'd you get into Star Trek? What was your first convention? If you even remember what your first convention was, just a little bit about your convention going experiences.
Okay, I think Eric wants me to go first. This is Debbie. I've been an original Trekkie since '66, watched the original series, been watching all of them ever since. My first convention was 2013. And I got really, really hooked on cosplay. And so my husband and I started enjoying a lot of cosplay. And then we picked up a couple other conventions. San Francisco Creation used to have a convention there we went to. And then I found out about SBI. And I've really been enjoying that one. Because I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, we have a lot of little cons around that aren't Trek specific, but they're fun.
What about you, Eric?
Hi, let's see. I like to say I am a Star Trek completist. I've seen everything. I remember I started watching TOS in syndication back in the 70s, and then just when TNG started to come out, I was just super excited, though I don't remember why, except for the fact that it's Star Trek. As to conventions, I'm from Cleveland, and I remember when I was growing up in my teens, we would have some of the little conventions come by. But then I moved away and just had fewer and fewer opportunities to go to conventions. So being in Cincinnati, I'm about 2 hours away from Starbase Indy. So I started to go there probably about 20 years ago. And then 5 years ago, I started to do the big Star Trek Las Vegas convention. And here we are today.
Wonderful. Well, I'm very glad that I have both of you, because you obviously have, a lot of experience with this particular convention. And it is one convention that's been on my radar for a while now, and it just never works out. I constantly have time conflicts. So I am interested myself in, hearing more about this. So let's start. As far as Starbase Indy, how many times have you attended roughly ever since that you heard about it for the first time?
I would say ladies first.
Okay, fine. The first time I went was I got actually invited by Savannah O'Connor when I was at STLV. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, it's Thanksgiving, it's too far, blah, blah, blah. But then 5-Year Mission didn't come to STLV that one year. And I thought, this is the only way I'm going to get to hear them. So Yeah, I started going to SBI primarily so I could hear the 5-Year Mission concert.
Oh.
It was worth it.
Eric?
Unfortunately, you're going to probably hear me say a couple times tonight, I don't remember exactly, because I don't remember exactly. My brain isn't wired that way. But when I moved to Cincinnati in 2000, I just was looking for conventions, opportunities to do Trek. And as I've unfortunately said, there's just not a lot of Trek opportunities in Southwest Ohio. So I heard about Starbase Indy. It probably took me a few years to get out there because of, again, Thanksgiving, just a hard time to sneak away from family to say, hey, I'm going to go do a Trek convention for a couple of days. But for the past, I don't know, I think I've done at least a half a dozen of the Starbase Indies.
All right, fantastic. So first time that you made it out there, what was your general impression? I mean, Debbie, I know you already mentioned that, it was sort of like very much in line with the smaller conventions that you have in your local area. But just generally, was it like oh, great, I feel just at home? Or was it like, well, this is a little bit odd, things are kind of, I'm actually surprised that this is one of those conventions that they've been around for 20 plus years, and they're still around and they're fan run. Right. Whereas things are kind of moving up and becoming more commercialized and big.
That was really the big draw for me. Honestly, it's not similar to any of my local conventions because even though we have a lot of small ones around here in the Bay Area, they're commercial, and it is a completely different feel when you're at a fan-run nonprofit. It's just, I immediately felt like I was part of the group. It's run by volunteers, and my husband and I showed up early, and I was there the night before, and so I was like, hey, you want some help with anything? And they're like, sure. And I could just pitch in and start helping. It was amazing how fast I felt like I was a part of the group, and just, I don't know, I felt just so welcomed.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And just what Debbie said, it's a very small, homey, comfortable convention. When I first started going there, it was a little bit of a surprise because I had done conventions earlier in my life with some of the bigger names, but you would only get one, like, at conventions I would go to, there'd be Brent Spiner and nobody else, John Delancey and nobody else. And so you come to SBI and it's sort of the same thing. You kind of get one bigger name and, some other lesser known characters. But it's just, it was just nice, just comfortable, easy, laid back, relaxed. You could have a lot more FaceTime, one-on-one with friends, stars, everyone that was there. It was just a very easy convention to attend.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wanted to ask that, I typically ask about all the new conventions that we cover, how the experience changed for you over the years. But I would think now that you actually been attending for so many years, you probably know a lot of people. So it does become sort of like a mini family reunion, perhaps.
See, for me, I've only been twice.
Oh, really? Okay.
2017 was my first time because we didn't get 5-Year Mission at STLV. And then I attended also in 2018. 2019, my family staged a revolt and made me stay home for Thanksgiving. But I'm working on them for 2020 because it really is fabulous. And we can do Thanksgiving the next week at home. But my kids were like, Mom, you need to be home. So I stayed home this year.
Yeah. Let's talk about general information as far as, Eric, I kind of hope maybe you will have that information. So in terms of attendance, we are talking that it's a small convention fan run, but do you know how many people usually come in? What sort of demographics, diversity type of thing that you notice as you go? I mean, especially considering that you've done it for so many years.
Yeah, attendance is usually pretty light. It's not very big, and I've never really had a conversation with any of the organizers, but I would say maybe 500-ish people come each year. I might be lowballing it.
Yeah.
No, that's about right, because I messaged one of the organizers today and asked her specifically for an attendance number, and she said it was about 500.
Oh.
So,
I can count.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. That was really good.
Well, that's wonderful. That's not overwhelming. It's not crazy busy, I would assume.
You never feel crowded there. There's plenty of room to move around because it's in the Indianapolis hotel, and they pretty much take over all of the convention space. So, and it's, they have multiple rooms and just lots of opportunity to move around and do your own thing.
Oh, wonderful. I'm assuming it's the standard setup. We have a little area for the Q&A panels, probably a lot of that's a whole separate question as far as how many vendors actually show up to this type of event. But the vendor area, are there artists, writers? Is there like a specific areas dedicated to like genres, that sort of thing?
I love the vendor area. The thing with the vendor area is they also have like little photo backdrop things set up. Like, they had the doorway.
Oh yeah, that's right. The holodeck doorway.
Yes, they have the
cool.
holodeck doorway. Multiple times they've had various other backdrops there that you can just walk up and take a picture for fun. Was it last year or the year before they had that Star Wars box and you could stand in it and pretend to be a figurine?
Oh, that's fun.
That might have been last year. But a lot of fun things to take pictures with. They do a very different kind of photo op with the stars. They do it with green screen, and you can get like really cool backgrounds with your photo ops with the stars.
Right.
Very nice. So let's talk about the general setup, I suppose. What sort of tickets are we looking at? Roughly, if you recall the price ranges. I mean, I would think that this is far, far more affordable and, well, pleasant to plan, so to speak.
I think we're kind of skipping some of the answers to some of your questions. We're just kind of like, we never answered your demographic questions.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Let's back up because I'm curious because I've had an opportunity to attend a couple of conventions that frankly kind of threw me. And I was like, well, this is a little bit strange. Right now, if you look around, like a lot of pop culture events generally have quite a lot of children coming in, whether it's a really large Comic-Con or if it's smaller ones. But there was one event, I'm like, this is a little bit weird because it was mostly, I would say average age was probably somewhere in the 50s and 60s. So it was like very representative to what conventions were when we were in the fallow years, before 2009 movie came along. So yeah, please go ahead,
SBI, I think, has the full demographics. You go from babies to people who watched it TOS when it first came out. But one thing I heard them say specifically multiple times this year was we are a family-friendly convention. So there are a lot of children, and so they're trying to bring in the next generation. So you'll find kids, teenagers, and everyone in between at this convention. So it's all welcoming.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I really, really like their theme, and right now I can't find it, but I will find their quote. But they really promote STEM, and it's not Star Trek specific. There's any sci-fi and science, not just science fiction. They have actual scientists. They do actual experiments. They have panels for kids, programming just for kids to do scientific experiments. It's pretty impressive. I think it's a great family convention.
Oh, that is tremendous. It seems to be, it's so great to see that several conventions that I've noticed that they started to push that, to actually have that as a separate thing. Not so much like, okay, science of Star Wars or something like that, like made up things, but the actual real world scientists coming along and doing panels. And as you said, my God, the experiments for kids, that's tremendous.
Right. I don't know if it's maybe jumping ahead the agenda here, but just to focus on what Debbie said is that they have very clear tracks. Like you could follow, there's a kids track that, kids programming all day. You could just follow this track and do that for 3 days, or you can follow the meet and greet, the celebrity track, or you could do they have multiple tracks and I can't remember them all, but there's about 4 different ways you could just follow and do this all weekend.
And the Klingons, there's a huge Klingon presence.
Really?
There's a whole track. No, I mean the Klingon Assault Group is a big organization. They have a huge
in the Midwest,
presence. They have a separate room just for Klingon panels. They have big Klingon events, a Klingon party, and to top it off, Mary Chieffo was there this year. So the mother of Klingons was there with the Klingon. It was pretty awesome.
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing. But I'm assuming, you can easily switch the tracks. It's not like you're buying into... Yeah.
Oh, no.
Right. They just keep the tracks are usually in a specific room. So if you stay in, they call it the astronomy room, you follow that track all day. You go into the main theater, you follow that track. So you can just hop in and out as you would any other convention. You're not locked in.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, you take what you want, but it's just nice that there is an astronomy room where the talks, if you go through the program and you see a talk on astronomy, you already know where that's going to be. It's going to be in the astronomy room. If you see a hands-on, lab experiment, where that's going to be. It's going to be in the lab. So they have designated, and all the Klingon things are down in the Klingon room. So it's really well organized, easy to follow, and easy to like jump around and get exactly what you want while you're there.
Wonderful.
What you just said, it's a couple years ago, they had to go through a complete re-evolution or rebranding or recreation. They had some troubles. And I think since they've kind of come back from the dead, as the 501c organization, they've been bigger and stronger from what I've seen of them in the past, and that they just offer so much more now these days, all these different tracks and just so much more you can do for a small convention on Thanksgiving weekend.
All right. I just out of curiosity, were they a Thanksgiving convention from the get-go? Do you know? Or is that something that just naturally got moved up because, limitations of hotel spaces that can be rented, that sort of thing?
I believe it's always been Thanksgiving. That's their hook.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a family convention during the family holiday. Gotcha.
Well, and for local people, you usually have Friday off work that week.
Yeah.
So it's nice because you can get in an extra day.
Yeah.
For those of us traveling from out of state, it's a challenge. And well worth it. I found their mission statement here in my programs, which I still have. It says, the mission of the Starbase, which organizes Starbase Indy, is celebrating Star Trek's vision of the future by promoting humanitarianism and STEM education today.
Wow.
And I just love that because
That's
it's really about promoting STEM and fandom as well.
Wonderful. All right. Well, let's go on. And the question that I skipped to, I do apologize.
I think the next one was just talking about the general layout. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. So just basically, they sort of like, for those people who are kind of looking into it, it's Debbie's showing the map. Yes. But as far as it, I mean, it is a hotel-based event. So that's certainly eases up, I think, for a lot of people because, you don't have to figure out between the hotels and the convention centers. Let's talk about tickets, the types of guests. This sort of like a little bit of how the convention is set up in that regard.
Tickets, they basically have two tiers, general admission, and then they have a gold ticket. General admission, you can buy a whole weekend pass very reasonably, I think. Goodness.
I think it's around $30, isn't it?
Yeah, they're on sale like right now for like super early discount, and then they do the time. They tell you on this date it's going to go up, on this date it's going to go up. So they very clearly tell you, when you can buy and at what price. Their gold ticket, no, they don't call it gold. Do they call
it's a star badge.
Star badge, sorry. The star badge,
fancy.
yes. Equivalent
it is
to
fancy.
And it's a very nice, that's their top tier. It's a little pricier. It's $150, but for that you get, they have reserved seating in the front row of the main theater. You get a autograph and a photo op with a star, and you get to go to their dinner with the stars.
Which
all
is
of that.
huge. That's like the draw.
Can you pick which star to have that, or they assign it randomly?
No, what they do is in the order that you purchased your ticket, so they keep track of who's 1 through 20, and I think they only sell 20 of these star badges. They go in order and say, who do you want to have dinner with? And if that table's still open, you get to have dinner with that person.
Wow.
So this year I was able to get the Mary Chifo table, and it was just a very interesting 2-hour nonstop conversation with the woman, just discussing her life,
that is just
real
awesome.
Nice, real simple. Yeah.
It's so wonderful because you really get to know a person when you take a meal with them. And you just say, I had Robert O'Reilly 2 years ago, and then last year I had Sandy Gimple, and I feel like I actually got to know them as people. Oh, and John Billingsley crashed our table group for a while.
Oh my god,
which was super fun. And you hang out with them, and at least in my case, I invited both of my table guests to come to the concert with me afterwards, and they accepted. So we all went out dancing after. It was pretty amazing.
That's brilliant. No, the dinner is held at the same location. You don't actually have to go out. Okay.
It's a catered meal, but I was really impressed with the food options there, because a lot of times if you're vegetarian, you kind of get a salad and some bread and be happy with that. And I was prepared for that. But apparently some of the organizers are also vegetarian. So they had amazing vegetable dishes and good meat dishes, really wonderful desserts. I didn't see it this year, but the past 2 years were awesome. How was it this year, Eric?
Well, I can talk to that. Mary is a vegetarian herself, or a vegan, one of the two, probably vegetarian. So they I'm trying to think. I forgot everything that was there, but they had salads. They had some quinoa. They had roasted portobello mushroom caps as like the meat substitute. The chicken was like a chicken piccata, rice and beans. So, you know.
There's a lot for
So
people who,
they really put their, put a lot of thought into this.
Oh, definitely. It's a good meal. And even if I had to buy the ticket for the meal, what's the meal? Is it like $80?
I think it's only 60.
Oh, is it only 60?
And
I just found it to be really a good bargain. I was kind of shocked the first time I got my ticket. I didn't know. I'd never gone before. So I just said, fine, give me the top ticket. Then I start getting these questions. Well, who do you want to have dinner with? I'm like, what? I get dinner? Oh, and here are your tickets for your free photos. And here's your tickets for your free autographs. And I went, what? It's all this free stuff.
It's nice.
Yeah, it was shockingly economical. And I was very, very excited.
Oh, that's great. So on average, how many guests usually attend? I mean, and that's across the board, with celebrities, scientists, authors, if any.
Ooh, I got to think of how to count these guys. So this year, let's see. This year, Mary Chieffo was probably the big name. Tracy Lee Coco was there.
Oh, she's great.
Mimi Craven, Dr. Aaron McDonald. Let's see. I think those were like the big names. I'm trying to think who else was there this year. It was kind of Chris Doohan was supposed to be there, but he had to cancel last minute because of his mother passing away a couple days beforehand.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. And Rod Roddenberry did a video chat with us on one night.
Yeah, I saw that. He said a few things that immediately made the news on Twitter.
Yeah, but I think that's got a mixed reaction, surprisingly. So, but I think it was great news. Basically, he confirmed that there will be a Pike series in the near future. Yeah. Well, maybe not so near future, but
let's keep fingers crossed, because I would love to see these guys back.
Yeah.
And the thing is that he's not the only one. I've spoken to at least 2 other people, and they keep using slang. So I'm like, did they just drop hints? Is that what this is? I'm not quite sure how to read it.
It was surprisingly direct. He didn't hem and haw. He pretty much said it's coming. So I would hope that Rod.
I hope he doesn't get into trouble.
Exactly. I think maybe there's at least a half a dozen each year, but like I said, it's a couple stars, a couple scientists. There's like in the vendors room, there was some authors that I didn't necessarily know, but they're there kind of showing off their books and wares. Oh yeah, there was another author there. Keith Candido.
Oh, yes.
He was there. How could I forget about him?
Shout out to Keith, yes.
Yeah, he was a very interesting panelist, so.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing looking at that, because I have the programs here, is they categorize, like they have Federation ambassadors, and they usually have 2 or 3 in that category. Science ambassadors, where they have actual scientists, 2 or 3 in that category. Cultural ambassadors, who are like entertainment, which are like the Klingon Pop Warrior and Moxie and Magnus. And then they have bands that perform, like the Saturday night. They have a big concert on Saturday night, which is a big draw. It's an awful lot of fun.
It's part of the admission ticket, or you have to?
Yes, it's included.
Oh,
no, everything's included. It's just
except
awesome.
for the dinner with the stars. Dinner with the stars, the only add-on.
Gotcha. Oh, that's fantastic.
But if you buy the star, then that's included too.
I just want to mention Moxie Magnus. That I don't know if everyone. Well, I don't know how well known she is outside of SBI circles, but she's the chief cosmetologist on the USS Enterprise. And I remember the first time I went to SBI, I walked up. She had her own table back in the day. She doesn't really now. And I walked up to her and going, "Who are you?" Because Moxie is basically a drag queen with a 3-foot-tall bouffant hairdo, and it's just the comedic relief for the weekend. She's kind of the host, MC. She does some parties, tours, sings, plays the ukulele. So she's just a riot. It's just kind of a fixture, a staple of SBI.
Oh, that's fun. Right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and just talk about generally. Do you feel the convention has changed? I mean, aside from the rebranding that we already mentioned, do you feel that things are changing? Do you see more people showing up, less people showing up? I mean, it's primarily a question, I suppose, for Eric, since you've attended more than twice.
I think I feel like the attendance has declined a little bit over the years, and even this year, it felt like they were having some trouble getting people to show up because I remember the dinner with the star tickets, they were putting them on sale at reduced prices as you got closer to the con. So by the time the con rolled around and the dinner was served, all the tables were sold out. But I just think they had a little trouble this year. But I think, you're still getting around those 500 people, just a small, cozy convention.
Well, I hope it's just a snag because the way things are, I mean, obviously, as far as specifically Trek is concerned, we have so much going on and going to be happening 2021, going to several years, hopefully many, many more years. So I would think it's going to be a boost for conventions regardless of the size. So that's why I'm kind of interesting to see other people, more people heading to conventions or not. Well, like I said, I hope it's a snag. Let's hope 2020 is going to be a success.
That's one of the reasons I was really eager to talk with you about this, because I think that it's just word isn't out and people don't realize what a hidden gem this convention is. The fact that it's small, the fact that you get to literally hang out with the celebrities and the guests. I mean, I made friends with some of the other guests because they would sit in the front row with us during other people's panels, and I got to make friends with the kids of the guests, because I would sit and hang out with their kids while we were listening to panels. And now when I see them at STLV, they're like, "Oh, hey, hi, Debbie," because they remember me from hanging out at SBI. So it's really cool meeting people and getting to know them a little bit better. Because there's not that big, I don't know how to describe it, but you know how at a big convention, there's like this imaginary wall that separates you from the talent. Mm-hmm. The wall's gone. The talent is there hanging out with you. They're eating the same place you're eating, and they're going to the same panels you're going to. They're sitting beside you in the audience watching other people. So I don't know. It's just really awesome. Also, they take care, the organizers do, to make sure they have some downtime areas. There's space set aside to just literally go hang out, to just play some board games or to just chill or to have some quiet time. And you don't see that everywhere. It was really nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they're doing this, especially if you have young children attending. That is
right, and
something that's necessary.
Yeah, they have a lot of kids there. So it's clear that they've put some time and thought into accommodating all the different age levels of guests who will be there, including some of the older guests who just need to sit down for a minute.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. And I mean, it's nice to see that more conventions kind of putting thought into creating areas like that, whether they're quiet areas or family rooms, whatever they may call them. Sometimes we do run across in the foods. I was at one Comic-Con where they had a quiet area. Problem was, to get to that quiet area, you had to go through probably the crowdiest corridor you can possibly imagine. So by the time you would reach it, you would really need the quiet space. I had this question here with did you attend all days? But this sounds like such a great, fun experience that I'm assuming you always go for the entire weekend.
I can't.
Oh, really?
Because it's so sad because I'm coming from out of state. So on Sunday, I have to fly home because I'm a teacher and school starts Monday morning and I have to be there. They'll notice if the teacher's not there. So I have to come home Sunday and miss a whole day of the con. And I just hate that. I'm hoping someday after I retire to get to go early and stay late like I do at STLV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same, but kind of opposite of Debbie. It's a Friday afternoon, evening start all day Saturday, and then to maybe 3 or 4 Sunday. And I usually never go on Friday because it's like Thanksgiving, and I try to give time to the family and not cut out that fast. And I usually just stay Saturday and Sunday. But this year I actually made it and did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So first time ever I did the full kit and caboodle, as they say.
Wow. Well, one of these days I'm going to make it out there.
You will be so hooked though. You go once and your family's never going to see you on Thanksgiving again.
Well, we usually, it's not like we have a very elaborate Thanksgiving. Like you said, it can be moved to a different
It really
time.
Can.
To tie into something that Debbie said, how you just make these better relationships. On the flip side, it's just because it's such a smaller convention, it's I just really had an opportunity to get to know Mimi Craven, someone that, maybe I knew in the back of my mind, but it's just got to talk to the star for hours on end and just getting to know her getting to know her career and just all these little, interesting things about her life. And it's just like, I think I fall into this camp. Like when I go to Vegas, it's like, oh, I got to hit the big names, give me the big stars. And I wouldn't have talked to Mimi Craven in Vegas necessarily, but here you got more opportunities with, lesser people to make these connections and learn more about them. We got to the point by the end of the weekend that, she's just, busting my chops over stupid things I'm saying. It's like, oh, there's Eric. He doesn't remember me. Cause when I walked up to her, it's like, I don't know who you are. It's like, and she has it's like, I'm an honest to the fault, but it's like on her table, she has pictures of herself from Seinfeld, from Voyager, Saturday Night Live, Swamp
Does the
Thing.
table have a sign? Like how they make signs where it says the name, and then you actually have names of the characters printed very often underneath?
Oh no, she's
that would
part
have been embarrassing.
Yeah, she had a banner behind her that had her name and her credits, but it's just like, she's part of the Scott Ray contingent. I don't know if you know Scott Ray.
Yes. Oh,
Agent
yes.
to the Stars.
Yeah,
so it's like,
he gets wonderful guests. I'm looking forward to the new crop that we're going to be in quotation marks. Sorry. I'm sure we're going to be getting for STLV in 2020. Wonderful guests.
Right. So like I said, as I told her, I don't know who you are, but so she just, rightfully was just, picking on me about that all weekend. But she says, now you know who I am and you won't forget me going forward, which is very, very true. This woman has just fantastic stories, and it's just like, you just get those opportunities, and I'm sure people do in other cons, but you can definitely get those in SBI as well.
But I think you get more, like, I remember having dinner with Sandy Gimple, and we got to hear like her talk about her whole career and things that she's still working.
Yeah, she's extraordinary.
It's crazy.
You remember there was a commercial, because I met her at STLV, and literally a couple of months later, I'm watching TV and I'm like, isn't that?
Yeah, the Walgreens commercial.
She's still out there.
She still works a lot, actually. Her career is very impressive, and I was like, well, how come you don't retire? And she's like, why? I'm having so much fun. And she's right. She's just so busy and energetic, and I would never have gotten to know that about her except for getting to like sit down and talk for an extended period. Yeah. And that's something you can get at SBI that I've never heard of anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, it seems to be the mark of, when you do have that small of a crowd convention, we actually get a more intimate access actually to the invited guests. Yes, you don't get too many guests, but you actually can spend time with them and get to know them. That's wonderful. Now, here's something, a question. Do you just go to SBI, or do you actually do look at, okay, well, who's going to be there in terms of like either your friends attending or specific guests attending? Like, I know you already mentioned.
I go. If my family will allow me to depart Thanksgiving, I am there. Because no matter who they have, they're going to have a couple of big names. It's going to be a wonderful experience with the events they have. Plus, you learn. It's also educational. Like, I got to learn how to do resin molding there. They actually had a panel where you go in and sit at a table. They provided all of the materials, and you made a resin cast. I'd never done such a thing before. It was fascinating. So
that's incredible. You know what? That's actually the first time I'm hearing. I mean, as far as presentations, when they show you, like John Paladin does makeup on stage, that sort of thing.
Yes, but you're watching him.
Yeah, exactly. But this is a hands-on thing, and I don't know. I can't think of any other convention that would offer something like that.
They have a lot like that. They have the lab is a room that's set up to do hands-on activities, and not all of them are for children. Some of them are for adults, or maybe, I don't know, I'm just a big kid, I don't know. But I learn a lot there. I find myself taking my notebook around and taking notes. Yes, I do that. But it was really educational as well.
That's amazing.
Well, I've done it both ways. I go based on guests. I go to go now. I think in the initial years, I would look at the guest list and say, well, do I want to go? I think over the past few years, their celebrity lineup has kind of skewed a lot more towards Star Trek. They used to be very diverse and have a lot of Stargate people and other series. And so I kind of am a little snobby. It's like, well, do I know these people? But now I'm just like, okay, let's just go. Who do they got?
Great. Do you, I mean, I'm assuming they have some sort of like, you can reach out to the organizer and say, it would be really, really great if you guys got this, this and that guest to come in. Do people actually do that? Or are they just kind of like, we're just enjoying ourselves, whoever they bring, it's all great. And we don't care.
I've sent them emails or messages in the past saying, hey, how about this person? Or have you given thought to this person? And they say, sure, we can try, but they have a very, very tight budget, being, the type of organization and con they are. So they're very limited in who they can invite and attract every year.
Now, do you feel that they normally get, well, you said that it's become more skewed towards Star Trek. Do you want it to be even more Star Trek? Do you want it to be a little bit more generically sci-fi? Do you want something else thrown into the mix?
Well, I'm a purist, so as far as I'm concerned, the more Star Trek, the better. But I do love the educational components. It's just that when they have guests from like Star Wars or other shows, I just don't know who they are. Because yes, I've watched all of Star Trek, but yes, I watch mostly Star Trek. So I'm not that familiar with some of the others.
Like last year they had Francois Chow, and it's like, well, I kind of know him from a thing here, a thing there. And it's like, only now am I watching The Expanse, which I guess he's pretty big in now. And that's kind of, everyone was raging about The Expanse this year. So I'm finally watching The Expanse. So it's like, it's a good, I guess,
I did know. I did know The Expanse. I had watched that, believe it or not.
Yeah.
There are a few other shows I do watch. So I knew who he was.
Right. So the convention can spur me to watch other things. The Expanse, they told me to watch Watchmen. So I'm watching that now. It's just, yeah, it helps you. Diversity, IDIC. There you go. More merrier.
See, you can bring anything back around to Star Trek if you try hard enough.
Everything can be connected to Star Trek, absolutely.
So back in the heyday of SBI, I think they had Nimoy one year. So
that must be going back quite.
Yeah, I don't remember when. I think they had Frakes one year. So those are like their biggest names they've had, I would say. But So for what it's worth.
So besides the stuff that happens at the convention itself, is there social life after the convention, or it's so small that it's all really one and the same? It's all tied into just one event. Like in Vegas, we have the bar hangout. Everybody goes to iBar or Masquerade or what have you. Do they have something similar here, or it's really just it's so small and like you said, it is more family heavy that you don't actually get that sort of thing after the hours?
There is a very strong after party contingent at SBI. There's a thing called Bar Trek that is, I guess, an official organization that is just about drinking Trek, I think. I really don't get it. I'm not a big drinker or partier myself. But I'm trying to think. Friday night, there are official room parties listed in the convention guide. So Friday night, there was at least 2 parties listed. And I think like one was, they try to have different kinds of parties, a little more mellow or a little more frisky. I think Friday night had, a mellow party and a little rowdier party. Not that it was rowdy. Saturday night had at least 3 parties, including the Bar Trek, the Klingon party, another party. So it's just like there are a lot of official after parties. But if you don't want to do that, as Debbie mentioned, there's a music concert Saturday night. There's alternative programs like Moxie Ann or Moxie Magnus was doing some games one night, or just different things. But it's all contained to the con and in the hotel. But yeah, nothing outside the hotel really that I know of.
Well, you have to remember, you're going to Indianapolis in November. And as a California person, I will just say that you actually don't want to go outside. Okay. It's really cold there. And so everything is inside the hotel. There's a restaurant in the hotel. There's a bar in the hotel. One year they set up a big room. One of the panel rooms, they converted it over, made it a bar and karaoke for after the concert. So the concert went to like 10 p.m. and then the karaoke started after that. But they actually have, if you stay at the hotel, they have a hallway which is designated. And I didn't know this. We got a room there thinking, oh, what a great room. So close to the convention. And then we found out it was the hallway where all the parties are. So you can't actually sleep if you get a room in that hallway. So you kind of want to plan ahead and get a room away from that if you're hoping to sleep. But if you want to be noisy and you get a room in there, no one's going to hear you being noisy. That's for sure.
Hey, you were special, Debbie, as they told me. It's like those are coveted rooms that usually go fast. So you snuck one in and got a special room.
Maybe because we get those so darn early.
Could be.
We actually had the room right next to the convention center. So you just walked from the performance area right into our room. It was awesome. We could hear the bands warming up in the morning.
That is just so
I check in and say I do not want to be by the party rooms. I'm sorry, I'm an old fuddy duddy.
Dude, I would not want that either. No, out of curiosity, how big is the hotel? Does it actually fit everyone attending, or people have to stay outside somewhere?
I
I
think
think everybody stays.
Oh, that's perfect.
I do know the hotel was sold out because I was talking to one of the agents. Like Scott said, he had a book at there's a couple hotels in the complex, so maybe there is some overflow, but I think almost everyone fits in there. Part of it too is they're near the airport, and the top couple floors they try to keep reserved for airline personnel.
Mm-hmm.
So those are kind of like quiet floors. So I don't know how much is always booked to the convention and how much is left open for other guests.
Right. But it sounds like it's all pretty much contained, like a nice little mini world.
It is.
Yeah, it is. But for us, though, when we're there, we do have a couple of places like that we want to hit when we go. We have a friend who has a comic book shop downtown. And so we always make it a point to make a pilgrimage over to Hero House to say hi and get our calendar. And we like to make a run to the grocery store, just like at most cons, so that we have snacks in our room. But I don't know if they're still doing it, but they used to have a whole room that was like set up for food. And I think they had to stop doing that.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
But I mean, you almost didn't need to buy food or snacks. You could just go to that room and there would be rolls and coffee. But now I guess they have food in the hallway set up. Like
No, there was no food at all.
none?
None. I can't think of anything now. But I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was not that long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, where it was literally a room that had food all day, snacks, pop, and at some points they brought in pizza. I mean, it was like full free
Wow.
food.
Yeah, and sandwiches, and like there was no charge for that. But if you
Nothing.
wanted to bring something, like I went to the grocery store and bought some granola bars and stuff and put in there to share, because it was more like a community sharing kind of thing.
Yeah. No, but what a wonderful concept, especially for a small convention, to have, like you said, a room with the food. I wonder what happened.
I don't know. It might have had something to do with there's a restaurant on site. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because the food room was right next to the restaurants at that new hotel. So who knows?
It was very nice to always have coffee and tea ready, available.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean the hotel. That's right. The hotel sells food. Yeah, they set up a little table outside of the vendor's room selling bad pizza, bad chicken nuggets, and some candy bars.
Well,
But
you
if
can
you-
always go to that one lab class where they make food out of insects, and then you could get
Oh my
something
God.
to eat.
I actually went and got a burger in the bar this year for the first time, so it wasn't bad.
No, both of you mentioned that the hotel is right next to the airport, but you also mentioned the grocery store. So how easy it is actually to whoever ventures into the cold. How is it to is there something else around? I don't know, movie theaters, a mall?
I don't know. All we did was we went downtown to Fountain Square, which is a specific like part of Indy, but it's not real close by. And Fountain Square has like restaurants and little shops and Hero House comic book store. But I didn't see a grocery store near there, but we got directions and went to a grocery store. I'm not from there, so I don't have any clue like how far we went or which way. But we did rent a car. I don't know that I would do that again. I think I would just get an Uber from the airport to the hotel. It's just so darn close.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much around there. It is just an exit off of the major interstate beltway around Indianapolis. So there's stuff around. You just I don't really know where it is. The only time I venture out is for breakfast because I don't like the hotel breakfast. So I found a really nice mom and pop one exit up the road. So movie theaters,
yeah.
no idea. Yeah.
There was a breakfast place that we went to there. I can't remember what it was called, but I do remember we went to breakfast one day.
Yeah, I took you to Bob Evans one
That's
year.
it.
But that wasn't, this is definitely a mom and pop. Definitely a mom and pop. That's all I want to call it. but big portions, cheap, good food.
All right. Well, the majority of people are probably sticking to whatever hotel offers. Like you said, if you want to just go for the convention and stay there, it's pretty much all you're limited to, unless you, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think, SBI is not necessarily an early to bed, early to rise convention.
Oh, incidentally, what are the hours? I mean, is it sort of like a standard, 10 to 5 type of thing, or longer, early?
Let's see.
There's
Friday,
a lot of late programming, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, opening day, like the afternoon is kind of thin. The vendors room opens, there's some spotty guests and whatnot. Then they have opening ceremonies, opening parties. Saturday probably starts about 10 o'clock. And again, it probably runs till 6. Dinner with the Star goes till 6. There's some counter programming to that. So yeah, I think actually it probably runs till 10 or 11 o'clock. Then the official hotel room parties, I mean, those go till 2 or 3 in the morning if you want to count those. So there's a full schedule.
Oh, that's great.
Sunday, I think official end is like 4 o'clock. And they got to start tearing down and get out of there.
And packing up and everything.
Yeah, because one of the nice things, it's a small convention, but the stage, they've always put they have a big captain's chair and a Enterprise bridge set. So it's, it has walls, it has like working monitors. So just to give a little more ambiance for the people on stage.
Sure.
So and they get to sit in the captain's chair and all that stuff.
Yeah, it is really a fancy stage, I think, especially when you consider the size of the venue. It's pretty well done in terms of the backdrop, and it makes for nice photos. And also some of the panels utilize that. Like one year, Moxie did a skit thing where she was doing improv and using the bridge set.
Yeah, she did that this year, yep.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, but the bridge got a rehaul this year. It was battle damaged the last few years, but they got a new coat of paint this year, so it's all refit.
That's very neat. Speaking of stages, you said that, and I automatically thought about costume contest. I'm assuming, like any other convention, it must have costume contest. So, in that regard, since both of you I know are cosplayers, what about cosplaying? Like I'm assuming both of you are dressing up, right?
Oh, after you, Debbie. That's your bailiwick.
Yes.
Well, it usually is, but remember when we go to Vegas, we drive, and so we can fill a mom van full of all the costumes. To fly, it's a new experience for me because there's only so much you can take with you on a plane, and a giant feather headpiece is not going to fly nicely. So yes, we took like one costume each, but mostly for us we just wore like standard Starfleet uniforms, and I noticed that's a lot of what people were wearing, but a few people were very decked out. So the times when I went to the costume contest, and of course I was not going to miss that, there were maybe, I don't know, between 5 and 10 people wearing something really nice that they had spent some time on. I love watching it though. Yeah. What was the experience this year?
Yeah, exactly what you said. It was, most people just wear very simple tunics, the tops and pants. The Klingons, of course, they dress up a lot more with the foreheads and the hair and all the different layers they got to wear. A couple people get a little fancier, but it's pretty basic, simple cosplay, which appeals to me because that's all I do. I just put on a top and some pants and I'm done.
What about non-Star Trek stuff? Do you actually notice people showing up saying, I don't know, Jedi Knight robes, that sort of thing?
There was in the vendors room. They have a little corner for the Star Wars guys, and there were just a couple this year. I think there was a Stormtrooper and a Jedi, but it was pretty much 98% Star Trek this year. There was a couple anime here and there, but very, very Star Trek. The costume contest did not have a lot of entries. I think there was literally maybe, like you said, 5 or 6. And I think 5 of the 6 were Star Trek. There was one of the anime people came in. So it was pretty simple contest.
All right.
It's still really fun. I don't know. I just love watching the work people put into prepping their costumes and stuff. To me, cosplay is just all about having fun and just really enjoying what you do and showing off your bit of art. It's wearable art.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like going to an art show, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
They had the official judges whom I don't remember. I only saw them appear at the contest. But as the people came out, they were interacting and talking, saying, "Oh, tell me about your costume. Did you make it?" And everyone said no. it was like all off the rack or just kind of bought, except one
yeah.
person said that she had made it, and surprise, she won. So,
Wow. So you can compete with stuff you just bought?
I guess so. Yeah. There was one guy who he just literally walked up in a red shirt. So they don't care.
Well,
It's just, you want to be in the contest, be in the contest. It's just
Yeah.
here for the fans to have fun.
Well,
it's
that is the bottom line with cosplay. And I always say that to people. If you're having fun, then you are doing it right.
absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of, the size and complexities, I suppose. I mean, STLV, we're kind of used to, having this very elaborate process now where, if you're wearing something off the rack, chances are you're not going to pass the preliminary selection that they have earlier in the day. The smaller conventions that Creation used to have, anything goes. It doesn't matter if you sewed it up yourself or you literally just bought it off, like a Ruby's uniform off Amazon or something. It's still, you can compete. And some people actually end up being like, not actually winning, but being finalists. So, but it's a smaller convention.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's kind of wrap this up a little bit. So, I think this is a great pitch for a convention. And like I said, I really want to check this out. Just generally talk, like, what's your, do you have like a single favorite? Probably not, but talk about your favorite experiences at SBI.
I do.
Ladies first.
I have one that.
Wait, let me guess. 5-year
No,
mission.
you'll never guess.
5-year mission.
It might
That
be
was my
related.
guess.
It might be related to 5-year mission, but wait, there's more. It was when I asked Robert O'Reilly at dinner if he would go to the concert with us. He said yes, and while he was dancing with us, somebody snapped a photo and sent it to me. So that is and has been my backdrop on my computer at work for the last 2 years. I just love it. It's such a precious memory, just laughing so hard and having the best time. And the concert was amazing. Dancing was fun, and Moxie was dancing with us too. So it was a blast. That has to be my most precious memory of SBI.
Eric?
I'm kind of a weird bird. Surprise, surprise. I just, I enjoy two things. I enjoy, when I go to a convention, I enjoy the panels. I want to kind of meet the guests. So I enjoy that one-on-one time that I got with Mimi this year, but I just enjoy going to their panels. And it's kind of weird. I don't think, at least for the few conventions I go to, a lot of people don't go to the panels. So I think they miss out on the convention. It's more the family reunion that we all like to talk about. But, I like to, see what these people have to say, since effort was made to bring them here. So I kind of feel bad when there's only 3 people in the audience sometimes. So, but yeah, I just, you get to, hear interesting stories from Hollywood and life. So that's what I like from conventions.
Do you have like like Dabby's? That's a wonderful one. Do you have a memory like that, or?
No, I can't think of anything specific. It's just been interesting over the years because, just like, I remember the Aaron Eisenberg and his dad. Who plays his dad? Rom. Who's Rom?
Max
Grodanic.
Yeah, that was the first time I had seen. They were both at SBI one year, and that was the first time I saw them do their shtick. That whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is great. I was like, and
Did
who
they
knew
have,
I was going to see that in
did they
Vegas
have the
again.
quark cut out with them?
Yeah, they did the quark cutout. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, you just got all those kinds of moments. I remember Susie Plaxon was there one year, had dinner with her, and wonderful woman, but honestly a bit of a wackadoodle too. No offense. She is just
She has a
crazy.
tremendous sense of humor. I love
She
her.
does. She's crazy. It's like, she was for several years, the Dinners with the Stars, the stars sometimes put on a show after the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And one year Susie went up to start singing and she couldn't get into it. So it's like, oh, stop. I got to just start all over again. And one year Max was reading poetry and Nana was behind him dancing and doing all kinds of funny stuff. So, you just get those little moments. I just remember lots of little things. So,
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. So, I'm assuming, Eric, that you will be back to SBI next year. It's sort of a given.
That is my intention.
Okay, and Debbie, you're gonna do your
It
best.
is my intention as well. I think
That's
we're
my
going to
line.
just celebrate Thanksgiving the week ahead so that the family will not miss me and won't mind my absence. Because I really love being there and watching the images and stuff with Mary Chifo there and watching. It's very hard to watch your friends having fun online when you're not there. But also, it's weird because I've only been twice, but I feel like I have some friends who live in Indianapolis now who I miss when I don't see them. And so, yeah, I want to go to visit them too.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I sincerely hope that you make it. Tell them you're promoting STEM. I mean, you are.
I am.
You're a
I
math
am.
teacher. So
It's work related.
It's work. Exactly. You should be getting credits for that. As we're basically done talking about the convention, any last thoughts, anything else you wanted to kind of point out, throw it out there, make people go?
Just, I think that it's different than any other convention, and I think that once you experience it, you won't want to miss it anymore. There's so much that this convention has that I've never seen anywhere else. Being fan run, being volunteer based, there are a lot of opportunities to be a part of it. And just if you go on their website and start looking now, there are things you can do to help and contribute. And I don't know, I've just kind of stayed in touch and been on the website, and it's fascinating watching it like as it develops over the year too, not just buying a ticket, but watching the planning and process as well.
I go to 2 conventions, and they're the polar opposite of each other: Starbase Indy and Star Trek Las Vegas. So it's it's kind of hard for me to say a lot, except that Starbase Indy is just a wonderful change of pace, just slower, simpler, just having that more one-on-one time. Just you just don't feel as crowded as you do in Vegas, but it's just a wonderful opportunity just to relax. And if you can make it there Thanksgiving weekend, I definitely recommend it.
Wonderful. Well, let's hope more people check it out. I mean, especially considering like what I mentioned earlier, Star Trek is booming. It's the time to go out there and join the fandom in a far more personal way than just watching a new series. Now, I'm assuming that this is, well, Eric, you said you only go to 2 conventions, but Debbie, anything else left for the year, or you're done until the next convention season kicks in?
I am done until March, but there's a big cruise coming up.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'm done for 3 months anyway.
Yeah.
We have to take a break.
Same thing. I will be seeing you on the cruise.
Yes.
2 months. Come on. It's only 2 months and a few days.
Oh my gosh, are you
that's
kidding?
right.
Help.
Yeah.
Not ready,
the end
not
of
ready.
December.
It's exciting. This cruise will be my first Star Trek cruise and only my second cruise ever. So I'm really looking forward to being with the family again.
Yeah, same thing. And it sounds like it's going to be very STLV flavored. A whole lot of familiar faces are like, okay, everybody's going. Great. And more people joining in, like, oh, I see all these people are going. I should be going as well. And those who are interested, be on the lookout, because there are some cancellations already happening. So even though technically the cruise is sold out, the cabins might pop up at any given moment. So that here we are. I mean, end of 2019. Generally, would you like to say anything as far as your convention experience through the year? Anything you're looking forward to in the next year? I mean, besides the obvious, obviously everybody's going to STLV. That's sort of a given.
Well, the other thing, if I can just make a quick plug for people who are in the Bay Area and California, the other thing I've been really working on is getting my local community a little more active. So we have the Golden Gate OA team, which is a Facebook group, and we do local events and meetups. They're small things, but we just get together and have viewing parties, or we get together and go to a play, and that has been sort of feeding my need for more Trek events and need to be around more Trek people in between STLV and SBI. So I love having a local fan group. It's wonderful to spend time with what I call my people.
That's very true. And away teams have been a blessing. I mean, I'm part of, as you know, the New York one. We just had a holiday party, and about somewhere between 50 and 60 people showed up. We basically took
Wow.
up the entire mezzanine of the bar that the usual hangout, and it was just marvelous. I mean, people had track themed songs being sung, Jingle Board, oh Enterprise. The whole thing was just marvelous, and so for a couple hours, even though we're in the middle of an Irish pub right off Times Square, and yet we're in a little Star Trek world for just a couple hours on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there
You
you
can
have
make
it.
your own Star Trek
Just
world for a bit.
it's priceless. Yes. Eric, any last thoughts?
You make me sad. I'm here all by
Aw.
myself in Cincinnati. There's no one here but me.
Oh, come now. You can make an away team.
Find me, people, if you're in Southwest Ohio. We need a boat. We need a ship. We need something. Help. Find me. Call me.
Oh. All right. So, just to summarize, I mean, 2019 has been quite a year. As a matter of fact, as we're recording this, I think earlier today, StarTrek.com posted a rather lovely wrap article basically summarizing all the great events that we had this year. And I mean, of course, we had the great announcements, and of course, we had great losses. But 2020 is going to be, I think, one for the record books, because between Picard's coming out, and the third season of Discovery, and I'm understanding one of the animated series is supposed to go. Plus, we have 25th anniversary of Voyager, so it's like one thing on top of another, and it's all happening, and it's between the cruise and what's going to be the last one. Probably Destination is going to be the last Trek event next year. No, actually, it's going to be still SBI, because they moved the London one to November instead of October, but it's still kind of middle of the month. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. This is going to be great.
And you really have too much Star Trek. I mean,
You can
2020
never.
is going to be full, but I don't think you can have too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So where can people find you online? Social media.
Eric, where do people find you? You want them to find you in Cincinnati.
Yes, you can find me. I am the admin of 2 Star Trek groups on Facebook. It's a nice long name, Star Trek Las Vegas USS Rio. And more simply, the other group is Queer Trek. As far as everything else, I don't tweet, I don't Instagram, I don't do anything. So find me on Facebook, Eric Profancik.
All right, Debbie.
I am an admin for the Golden Gate OA team, which appropriately enough is near San Francisco. I also belong to a little group called the Tri-Valley Geeks, which is just our little local nerd fan group, all fandoms. And then I'm just on Facebook. I like Eric. I don't tweet. As a teacher, I don't have time to give to multiple media, so I have to just dial it down to Facebook. But yeah, I love my Facebook community.
All right. You can find me, Marina, on pretty much everything. Well, almost everything. But I'm mostly on Facebook. Yeah, my full name, and I'm also one of the admins for the unofficial Star Trek Las Vegas convention group. And of course, I'm one of the co-hosts of Shore Leave, which you can find both on Facebook under, actually its full name, which I'm going to read out because it's always very long. Shore Leave, your Star Trek Convention Community Podcast, and which you can also find on Twitter at Shore Leave. Me personally, I'm also on Twitter, but it's just a show. I think at this point, I'm just trying to kind of keep it as a news-based entity. Personally, I'm more on Facebook. Regardless, here we all are. Hopefully SBI is going to be nicely kicking next year. We certainly have a whole lot of other things happening next year as well. And happy holidays to everyone. Our listeners, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next year. Keep on tracking.
Happy holidays to you.
Thank you so much, Marina, for having us on.
Thank you. Live long and prosper.
Ah, yes.